Welcome to Dogs versus All Y'all, a weekly college football podcast where we discuss not only my favorite team, the Georgia Bulldogs, but we talk all things college football, hence all y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and look us up on Instagram at SuplexDinnerClub, and go Dogs. Quick question for you, Dave.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Has Marvin Harrison woke up yet? All right, on that note, listeners, welcome to another episode of Dogs versus All Y'all, a college football podcast where we don't just talk about the two-time defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs, but we talk about all things college football, hence all y'all. I'm joined today by two of my brothers. Both of them were at my wedding. Both of them have been a part of my life for as far as I can remember. So first and foremost, I want to welcome both of you. I want to show appreciation for y'all spending a little time with me to talk about the sport that we all love, which is college football. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
First, representing those Miami Hurricanes, the good brother, Dallas. You see it. Dallas, how you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. Really excited. We got the season kicking off. So we've talked all our trash. We've talked about recruiting and rankings and preseason hype. Now it's time to put the pads on and get to cracking. So we're going to see what we got.
Amen. So I always like to ask our guests a question just so listeners can get a better idea of who you are. So my question for both of you this week, and starting with you, Dallas, obviously, what's your favorite tailgating activity?
Well, we're going to have to find a new one now, but it has been, Miami tailgates get a little crazy. You've seen probably the viral videos of the stripper poles and the frozen drink machines and just some crazy DJs and celebrities and the whole thing. But the mainstay in Miami tailgate history has been Laz and his wife, Cuban guy in his 50s, the most kind, sweet Miami fan there was. Some of us have a little edge to us, and let's be honest, everybody knows Miami fans are the worst, absolute worst as a group. But he was just this really cool guy. He was always supportive of the players. His tailgate had this just super good vibe, Cuban music. His wife was cooking Cuban food. He and the OGs would be out there playing dominoes, smoking Cuban cigars. Everybody was welcome. It was just a good vibe. Guy was famous around in the community and everything. Everybody known as Cutler Ridge Laz. He was like an OG message board, called in on all the talk radio. But he got into this beef with his neighbor, and it escalated. And Laz stabbed this man and killed him in the front yard. And then he just got sentenced in July to 15 years Fed time. So we're gonna have to find, maybe a new tradition at the tailgate that everybody can enjoy. But that was always a good one. But as Miami as it gets right there,
Don't play
crazy
with
fan, homicide, Cubans involved. It gets crazy. So that to me was always a great little tradition, but we're gonna have to flip it to something else now.
Damn.
Yeah, right, that's real.
We ain't gonna top that, man. We ain't gonna top that. Free my guy. All right, the next guest. He's a two-time guest of Suplex Dinner Club. The good brother David. He is representing the Ohio State University. What's going on, Dave?
That. I appreciate the putting the "the" on there, the official name of the Ohio State 2023 national champion Buckeyes. I appreciate you, sir. Yeah, see the future. Yeah. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to see you, man. I'm happy.
Yes, sir.
Always happy to see you, brother. What's your favorite tailgate activity?
So, like you said, not going to talk what Dallas said. That's upper echelon right there, tailgating. But mine is actually, man, just talking shit to the opposing team. That feeling of energy you get from when you, doesn't matter if you're home or away, you're visiting a tailgate at a visitor location or the rival team's location, or your home, talking trash outside the game, getting everybody riled up, getting everybody in the spirit. I think that's one of the beauties of college football that the professional sports kind of lag behind on with their tailgates, is just that you feel like you're a part of it. Like if we lose, we're out there. If we win, we're out there. And that's where it starts, right there, 2 hours for the game, out there getting a couple of cold ones in. And definitely might be a fight, and might get stabbed like it down in the Hurricanes.
You sounding like you would be the one getting stabbed by my man.
It's possibly I am the fuck around type, so I might possibly find out. So, but yeah, so that's what I love about the tailgate, is just that good old energy that you feel that's associated with I see you and I don't like you. I don't like those colors.
Nice.
That Georgia crest you got on your chest right now.
Right,
we don't like to see that.
All right. See, I was gonna say if you were a stabbing victim, then I would be right next to you, next in line, because that's how we ride. But since you throwing shots out, I may have to edit that out. So
I got it, no problem, my guy.
All right. So before we get into the talk, listeners, thank you again for giving us an opportunity. I really appreciate y'all checking us out. If you haven't already, look us up on social media at SuplexDinnerClub. That's the home of a couple podcasts that I do. So shout out to the people. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. We're going to jump in head first with some hot takes, some Desmond Howard approved hot takes.
Hopefully not Desmond.
Hopefully not that bad.
Desmond's hot takes be.
shout out to my guy Desmond, man.
Shout out to Des. He be out there just talking.
Yeah, we love Des. Like, he's just wrong a lot.
So all the teams, obviously, they have one goal. They want to be the champion at the end of the year. So my hot take, or my question for both of you guys, I'll start off with you, Dave. At the end of the season, what 4 teams are going to make the playoff this year?
So, college football, all about parity. I will say that I am a fan of the playoff system. I do see it expanding with the formation of the super conferences that are coming about, but I will keep it on topic. For this year, I'll go worst to first. So, my
4 seed.
Four seed
cool.
Is going to be University of Texas. I think that this is the year they finally bust through. Also, this is the last year they're in the Big 12 before they join the SEC. I think somebody has to come out from the Big 12. And Oklahoma is not ready. I don't think. Got a couple other scattershot teams, but I think Texas is complete top to bottom. They have talent. And if they can decide on Quinn Ewers or Arch, either one of them very talented guys.
Arch ain't ready, bro.
I don't. But mid-season, you never know. Quinn is actually paid his dues, so I'm glad Quinn is getting a shot and Arch got to sit. So I'm gonna give Texas a shout out. Number 3 team coming in is actually gonna be USC. I think Caleb rise out on top. And besides the Pac-12 is weak. Besides my dark horse of Neon Dion, I am riding with Coach Prime. I like what he's doing up there in Colorado. I like what he's bringing to the Buffaloes. I like how he's going to change the college landscape. I will go on the limb and say he's going to represent the Pac-12, but another year or two, we're going to be talking about Coach Prime in a different light. He's not going to be such a gimmick. He's going to be like, man, build a formidable program. He actually know what he's doing up there. It's all about being a mouthpiece. Under much consternation, I will put Georgia as a number 2 team, only because the midget actually knows how to recruit, and he gets out the way. That's what he does. He recruits and gets the hell out the way, unless all his coordinators and position coaches do their job. He lets the talent produce. That's one thing he learned from the midget in Alabama, is that you just collect the talent and then let them play. So one midget to another midget, they get the job done with collecting talent. So they'll finish number 2 unless they trip up at Tennessee, which is very highly likely. We'll talk about that later on, I'm sure. But you can sigh all you want to, sir, but deep down in your heart, you know the good old Volunteers have y'all's number. Lastly, like I said before in my intro, national champions 2023, long awaited, back on top, the Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Kyle McCord.
Led by Kyle McCord, who hasn't even been announced as starter yet.
Right.
Led by Kyle McCord.
Slaw.
I mean, he's got 1 year. The starter is Aaron Nolan. He's the heir apparent. Like, we 1
Who?
year
I
away
like
from
Aaron.
that.
I
Aaron
like Aaron.
Nolan. Definitely the starter
He's in
next
high
year.
school, Dave.
Exactly. Just like Trevor Lawrence was in high school, and they were talking about him at Clemson.
Man, y'all got to figure out
Same
this season first, man.
No, we got this. We're gonna let Travion do his thing. Marvin gonna carry us. We're good. We're solid.
I hear you, man. All right, Dallas, man. Give me your college football playoff 4.
So I'm gonna first team in. I'm gonna have Clemson, and
Ooh,
here's
nice.
why. Clemson had amateur hour going on last year at the coordinator spots. They
Definitely.
did.
I will give you that.
Dabo got cocky. He thought there was a system that he could just push through with these turkeys. I mean, he had plumbers calling plays, man.
Straight up.
He
This is
also was
true.
forcing this former 5-star who is awful at quarterback and still won 10 games if I'm not mistaken.
That's true.
This quarterback
Okay.
they have now, Cooper, is the real deal.
Yeah,
This
he's
is a
I
legit.
like it. I
Heisman
like to see it.
candidate. He is legit stud quarterback. He's going to go top 5 overall in the NFL draft when he comes out. Everybody knows it.
Ooh.
Okay.
Defense is loaded in all the right spots. I think bringing in Riley to call plays with this kid is a perfect match. This kid has legs. He can run around. He has that TCU quarterback mold, but he's a superstar on top with amazing arm talent. So this could be magic with Riley calling those plays. And Clemson's schedule is not that tough. They've got
Very
Notre
true.
Dame, which
Frauds.
frauds every
Frauds.
year. And this year,
Frauds.
hey, another hot take for you, they might not get bowl eligible, right? They might not get bowl eligible.
Ooh.
So when you really
NBC ain't
look
gonna
at
like that.
Clemson, the way
NBC don't
Clemson's
like
set
that.
up right now, nobody's talking about them. Nobody's thinking about them. And this is going to be classic Dabo right here. So that's my first team in. My second team in is the University of Georgia.
Okay.
They're absolutely loaded. I think they upgrade on offense this year.
I
I
think so.
think they've got
Upgrade.
a little more firepower than they had last year. They have an actual quarterback with some arm talent. They've got a
You
couple
believe in
guys
Carson?
there. I think
He
I
looks the
think Beck
part.
may not finish the year as starter, but I think that's okay
Okay.
because I think
I
there's a
like it,
couple
Dallas.
guys on that roster that could lead that team.
I don't believe in Carson, so I agree with that. I don't believe in Carson.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel you on that, Dave. There's some reasons to doubt. There are,
I'm telling you.
but Vandergriff
I
is
see game manager
unbelievable
best from
talent. I
Carson.
mean,
I
he's
like
been
it.
sitting
Exactly.
there. He's in the system. Don't discount a veteran quarterback in college football, man. So I got them in there. The schedule lays up nice too. It's not a difficult schedule, all things
Definitely.
considered.
Definitely.
So it
That
would be
Tennessee
a
game.
major disappointment if Georgia was not in the Final Four. So my third team in is, and I hate to do this, but I've got LSU in there.
LSU. Okay.
I do.
Ooh.
I think Brian Kelly is a scumbag of a human being. But I
Yes.
think that is the material that makes the best college football coach.
This is
This
true.
is true.
I want
This is
my
true.
coach to be
Long
a
track record.
sleazeball,
Urban
like
Meyer
a
2.0.
steal from his grandmother's sleazeball. And so Brian Kelly fits that bill. I mean, this is a guy that's probably guilty of manslaughter, right? And
Is it?
I mean, technically, I mean,
yes, right. So
if we
so this is
really,
a
yeah,
sleazeball, and he's in year 2. He's got a super talented team.
Super
He's got
talented.
options at quarterback as well. They're going to roll with Daniels again. I don't know if he finishes the season either. They've got talent on
That's a
this
hot
roster.
take.
And look, Brian Kelly in a big game, Notre Dame, it was shaky, but I think that was a Notre Dame
I
issue. The
trust
guy
him in
can
it.
coach ball.
Yep.
The guy
He
can
can
coach
coach
yes,
ball.
ball.
sir.
I trust him
And
in
I
a
think the
big
team's
game.
bought in. Early in the year last year against Florida State, it looked awful. But it was, he just got there. It was a tough transition, this guy coming to the boot. But right now, I think they're hitting on all cylinders. I can see them in the play.
I feel that. I like that.
my fourth team in is the representative from the Big Ten. And I think this is maybe going to take you by surprise,
You don't
but
say it.
Penn State will be the fourth team in the Final Four.
I like that. I like that,
Dallas
Couple
for a
things
Dallas.
on
wild
Penn
card.
State. All right, I'm not a Penn State fan. I don't really like anything going on or has ever been going on at Penn State. But college football sometimes comes down to luck. It
Mm.
really does. And Penn State has not had luck on their side for a long time. They lose a heartbreaker every year that it looked like they were going to win, that would have put them in the Final Four or propelled them to the next level. And it just always seems to just go the other way. Eventually, this has to sway, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
they get a little luck. They've got Michigan at home. Uh, I think the luck comes at the Horseshoe against Ohio State, which
Mm-hmm.
does not have their quarterback situation figured out.
Agreed.
And they are a system. And sometimes, if your system doesn't have the right quarterback, it all falls apart. Ryan Day does not have the coaching chops to turn that around if it does.
Mm.
Everybody knows that. Penn
Play caller,
State,
Dallas. He's a play
hey,
caller. Let him call the
outside of
offense.
that,
He's an OC.
uh, their defense is absolutely loaded. There's multiple first round picks on this defense at corner,
Yes.
at defensive end, in all the
Yes.
spots that really move the needle in college football. When Manny Diaz has a loaded, talented roster, he
He can
does
get busy.
damage.
Yep.
Now, if he doesn't, then he's trash because he's super risky, he's super aggressive. But if you've got freaks on the defensive ends and you've got
Yes,
corners
sir.
that can shut down in man, he can
Yes, sir.
fuck you up. And I
Mm.
think
Yes,
this
sir.
is the type of defense with the type of talent that he can really do some damage. And hey, I think Franklin is a really good head coach. He's had some tough breaks. He was respectable at Vanderbilt. My God. If
Yep.
that doesn't say, so I
Right.
think he's a good head coach. I think he's the type of head coach who can handle the big stage and the Final Four and make some noise. So those are my four that I have
Nice.
in the college football playoff this year.
I
What
like it.
What's your
I
order?
like it.
That was it. One
That
to
was it.
four.
Oh, okay.
Clemson. So you got
Got you.
Clemson on top?
I have
Got you.
Clemson undefeated going into the Final Four playoff.
Who's your champ?
Nice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know.
All right.
Game's got to be
I
played.
like
I
that.
like it.
I like
I
that.
like it.
All right. So my number one seed. I'm gonna say Georgia. Like y'all have already said,
Really?
our schedule.
Shot.
Yeah, I got us. Look, man, our schedule is poo butt pie, man.
It's easy money. Yes,
It's
easy money.
easy. The first month is just a cakewalk, and you're talking about being a challenge, traveling to Auburn, Ole Miss coming to town. Those are considered the challenges. The biggest game, obviously, everyone's hyping up Tennessee. I don't even think Tennessee is gonna. I think Tennessee's going into that game with 2 losses, but
Yes.
that's
I
just
think
me.
Auburn will be better than Tennessee.
A more competitive game. I can absolutely agree because Kirby has shown he knows how to shut down Josh Heupel's offense. So,
Yes.
and this is 2 years running. So that's my number one seed. My number two seed is not Ohio State. So I'm sorry, Dave. It's going to be Michigan. Michigan, much like Georgia, has a smooth pathway to being 12-0, or
With JJ McCarthy.
at least,
With
yeah.
JJ.
And I mean, he did his thing last year. So it's when it comes down to it, I believe both of you guys may be undefeated, or at least a one loss on one of you all's in going into you all's matchup. And when it's said and done, Michigan's more physical than y'all. I got more faith in that team than Ohio State. I'm just gonna say that. So I believe
Why they play the games.
that's why exactly. So we'll definitely talk about it later. But my number two seed is going to be Michigan. Number three for me is going to be Texas. I agree with you, Dave. Texas they have
Got the
talent.
talent.
I just
They got the
just
talent.
like what I see of the team. I know
They
I
got the
shouldn't.
talent.
I know I shouldn't believe
Be
in them.
seduced by it.
No.
Yeah, I shouldn't. I like what I see of that team because they got weapons. They have talent. All they got to do is put the shit together for a season. And
Sark
Sark
gonna
can
have the
call some
shakes by
offense.
October, man.
Sark can game plan.
just
Hey, Sark can
just
game
get
plan.
just get my guy gin tonic and we good. Just get my guy gin tonic. It'll even out the shake and he'll
You
be
Yeah,
know,
fine. He'll be
yeah.
good.
I
That's my
can't
number 3.
confirm.
That's my number 3, Texas. Now my number 4, man, I'm going with the Ducks. I'm going with Oregon. I'm not going with
Bo
USC.
Nix.
I
Bo.
hey
It's the Dan Lanning thing, man.
hey I love Bo Nix.
No, you
I
don't.
love
Wow.
him. I do.
So
I
you're the
do.
Bo Nix for Heisman hype
I
train.
How is this possible?
You on the Bo Nix for Heisman?
Bo Nix for Heisman.
No, sir.
Bo
I
Nix
don't
for
know of
Heisman.
a single college football player that I've heard you slander more
Thank
than
you,
Bo
Dallas.
Nix.
This
Yeah.
guy switched
I
up
got text
so
message
quick.
Yeah.
threads of you
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
going back for
Yes. Yes.
hours about
Yes.
Bo Nix.
Yes.
Bo
And
Yes.
you're gonna
Nix.
get on
I
here
didn't.
now and say that
Hey,
Oregon's
I
in
didn't.
top 4
I
because
didn't.
of Bo Nix?
Hear me out, fellas. Hear me out. I think that Oregon team is tougher than USC. I think they are. And look at Bo Nix's numbers from last year. That dude was scoring points. Other than the opener against us,
Okay, now.
they were averaging like mid 40s. So
So
all you gotta do is average over 40 something. You got a pathway. All they gotta do is beat Utah.
that's what I
They
was
ain't
about to
gonna
say.
be
Like,
Utah.
they not gonna be Utah.
Is that game at Utah? I
That game is
think
at Utah, if I'm not mistaken.
is it? Well,
They
I'm
not beating
sticking.
Colorado.
Hey,
They not
I'm
beating
shooting it
Colorado.
out. I'm shooting it. Come on.
They
That
not
is
beating Colorado.
in
Well,
Utah at the end of October, Halloween
dang,
weekend.
Ooh,
is it?
yeah,
Well, I'm gonna
yeah.
stick to my guns, man. My number 4 team, my number 4 seed. I already told y'all, Des Howard inspired this, so I'm gonna go ahead and put myself out there. Oregon's gonna be the number 4 seed of that
Got it.
playoff. It's very telling that none of us have Alabama in this, and only one of us have Ohio State.
I mean, I'll live on that limb by myself, but Alabama, I think, is definitely seen their glory days pass. Saban is always going to keep a defensive end. He's always going to keep a cornerback. That's his wheelhouse. But Saban has never been able to find a solid quarterback, and when he gets one, he fumbles it. Look at Jalen Hurts. He went back and forth with him and Tua. Mac Jones is not legit to me, so it's always been the Greg McElroys of the world that get him over.
Well,
He surrounds him with talent. Greg
Mac won the
McElroy is his.
championship though.
That's why I said Mac is his. That's his prototype. Well, that doesn't play in college football no more. I think Mac was just a game manager, and his Saban's been exposed the last couple of years by not having the talent he needed back there. Lucked up with Bryce, but I don't think he knows how to really develop a superstar quarterback. He hasn't shown that, in my opinion.
Okay.
My opinion. So
You're saying this after they just had the number 1 overall pick of the draft.
that was luck, my guy. And then what has Bryce shocked the world in preseason? CJ is looking a lot more formidable than Bryce.
Now
Small sample
this
size,
is a
two
couple
games.
preseason games
I
now.
said
You
small
guys
sample
go
size
back
is
a
two
little
games.
bit. I
Small
mean,
sample size,
I'm
but
trying to think of Ohio State producing a legit quarterback, and I can't really come
Justin,
to, you
Justin,
know, who?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, he don't look good, man. You know, he
All
really
right,
don't
yeah,
look
yeah.
good. I mean, we'll
Yeah,
see, we'll
he still
see.
got time,
But
but
he's
yeah,
certainly not
I agree.
there. You know, he's
Yeah,
not
he
there.
Who's Alabama's claim to fame? You gotta go what? Joe Namath years ago?
that's
Well,
I
in the
mean,
last
that's fair.
15 years, I'd say Mac Jones has had more success than any Ohio State quarterback.
Has he?
Yeah.
What does Mac
He
produce in the
got
league?
rings.
Uh,
I said in the NFL.
in the
What has
NFL, I
Mac done?
mean, what Ohio State quarterback has done anything at all in the NFL?
That's fair. That's a very good
Here,
I
point.
mean, at all. Mac
I
Jones is holding down
digress.
a starting
Literally at
job for
all.
an NFL roster, and that is the
All
baseline at
our
this
hopes are
point for an
riding on
Ohio
Justin and
State
CJ.
quarterback that they can't
I,
reach.
I'll put them all on Justin and CJ. I believe both of those guys are going to turn out to be something.
Well, I'm cheering for Justin
We'll
as
see.
a
I see how you completely strayed away from that conversation. Y'all got
man.
one, Adrian.
I ain't got no business. I ain't got no dog in the fight. on my end,
I'm
other than
glad.
Stafford.
Nice pun there.
Other
Nice
than
play on
Two,
Stafford.
yeah.
words. No
Man,
dog in the fight is the right word.
yeah,
You're right.
other than All right, moving on. Moving on. All right, we got a couple second-year coaches we got to talk about, gentlemen. Last year in particular, it was a lot of first-year coaches. Some had high-end success. I'm looking at Lincoln Riley, who was basically one game away from playoff. Dan Lanning had a considerably successful first year. And obviously, the biggest one I would bring up would be Sonny Dykes, who played in the national championship as a first-year head coach. On the opposite end, you had a number of second-year coaches that had either up and down seasons or just flat out their team stunk. And you got a couple people looking crazy at them. Now, last year, Auburn's coach, Brian Harsin, he got fired after his second year. He lost the team, lost the support of, he lost his AD. That's what ultimately killed him. But
He didn't lose the student aid. He didn't lose the student aid. He
that was
definitely
dispelled.
didn't lose that.
But
He got to win.
as soon
That
as
was
that
dispelled.
AD got fired, you
Yep.
knew he was on his way out. So let's talk about it. Second year coaches, I'm going to start off with you, Dallas. Which second year coach is under the most pressure? And I'm starting off with you for a reason.
You think that I am going to maybe say Mario Cristobal, but I will not, and here is why. Because
Okay.
Mario is on an 8-year deal, and Miami is not in the type of mind frame to do every 2 years flipping coaches. This is their first really big investment in the modern era of college
I feel
football.
that.
He would not have left his situation in Oregon without long-term security. He told them up front this was going to be a major rebuild from the ground up. He was going to have
For
to
sure.
tear it down or build it back. So fans are impatient, and maybe some fans are frustrated and upset about a lot of the different things, from recruiting to losing this recruit, that recruit, or a 5-7 record. But the administration knew full well what was going to be going on. They expected all of this. It's a long-term guaranteed contract. He is in no jeopardy whatsoever.
I like
Now,
that.
a few miles up north, Billy Napier, on
That
the
was
other
my,
hand.
yeah.
That's where I was going.
Now, Florida fans really want to talk about Mario Cristobal, but what they're doing is deflecting from their current dumpster fire that they are sitting in. Look,
It's
this
rough.
guy's record was trash. He got waxed in the bowl game by Oregon State, and I don't care what they're ranked. They're Oregon
They
State.
got smoked.
Smoked, and they got bullied, and the team quit, right? The team quit. So this man didn't make it a full season without the team laying down and getting lemon booty on the field on national television,
That's a
right?
fact. That's a fact.
He had a quarterback go, what, top 3 overall?
Yep.
Yes,
Now,
he did.
who's the last coach that had a top 3 overall quarterback and barely made it to a bowl and then got pants? I can't think of one. I
It's
can't.
unheard of for me. Yeah.
So now we are to believe that this is going to be a better season with
Don't
Graham
see it.
Mertz under center.
Ooh.
Don't see it.
Ooh.
And I've seen a lot of Graham Mertz tape.
Good old
This guy is
Wisconsin.
not good at quarterback.
At all.
Don't care if he was
That's
five
being generous.
star.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
care if
nice.
Wisconsin ran the ball a lot, because they should have ran it a lot more. Because he threw, what, 20 picks? This guy's terrible.
He
So
stunk.
Florida's got a good running back. They really do. Etienne is a baller. I think he's a
Yep.
game-breaking running back. The offensive line is not special. Mertz
No.
is terrible. Who are you
Yes.
afraid of on the outside?
Nobody.
Not a soul.
And then you look at their schedule. And it's not the hardest schedule in the world, but for them, hey, I don't know if they make a bowl. I
Yeah.
really don't. And if they don't make a bowl,
It's over with. You don't get that time.
Yeah.
this is
You
it.
don't, you
And
don't
they're
get
They
recruiting. They're
call it.
sitting at, they did not recruit well last year.
that
He did
part.
not
That's
get
where
that
I feel like he
typical
lost
first
it.
year bump. They were just
Mm-hmm.
kind of middle of the road in recruiting. They're coming in hot this year, up at like number 3 in the rankings. But halfway through the season, with the record they're going to have and the
Kid's
way that
gonna.
offense is going to look, that quarterback Lagway is going to walk. And when he does, the whole thing's going to fall apart. Billy's going to be sitting at the end of the year, maybe not bowl eligible, with a recruiting class that fell apart, and it's a wrap city. Florida's going to have to make a move.
I
My
feel that.
other dark horse on this,
Mm-hmm.
real quick, is my man up in Notre Dame. Okay, and here's a couple things. They, speaking of quarterback problems, there's just left to go
Yeah,
to Alabama.
yeah, yeah.
Their offensive coordinator left, right? So Al Golden is their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All good,
I,
all big facts.
and make that make sense. Okay, and then now the schedule's tough. I mean, it's a really hard schedule. And they've got these inflated expectations once again. The
As
media's gassed them
always.
up. They're in the
Mm-hmm.
top 12, 13, somewhere in there. And this guy may not be bowl eligible either. And a couple times last year on the sideline, he looked lost. He really looked like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. He had these moments. And now he's got to navigate a tough schedule with new offensive coordinator and no quarterback and not a super talented roster because they
I was
don't
gonna say
recruit
not a
super
lot of these
well.
talent completed this
I,
year.
eh,
I
You
hear
don't
you.
got no
I
Brian
feel
Kelly
that.
holdovers no more.
I
Kind of
feel that.
talent
You
yeah,
don't like
completed.
Hartman?
What?
I
You don't like
do.
Hartman? I like
I
Hartman.
do. I like Hartman.
Yeah, I
I
like
like
him.
Hartman, but it's new and
Yeah,
this is a
true.
new system and this Wake Forest's system is super explosive and really allows a quarterback in
Mm-hmm. It's
Notre Dame.
completely
What
different.
are they going to
Yeah,
do? I don't
right.
know. So, and with that schedule, it's going to get real, real quick.
Yeah, it's gonna get
But
ugly.
Billy absolutely, I think, is burnt toast by December. No
Mm.
question. He's a rat.
Dave, what you think?
Um, I was actually when you first said that Billy Napier was first name to pop in mind, so
Yeah,
I have to agree wholeheartedly with all the points that Dallas made. I just think it's different in the SEC. Florida is a big time school, man. Like you don't get to have the missteps and have the patience
yeah,
like at some other places. But you almost swayed me with the Notre Dame argument, and I wanted my man to get a little bit more time. I wanted to kind of find his way, but another school where it's a lot of eyes and not a lot of patience where
Mm-mm.
tradition is concerned. So, but it's definitely Billy Napier, only because I don't see him surviving.
yeah,
You don't have the dogs to make it out, and you need to make it out. So, yeah,
yeah,
dead man walking.
I
yeah.
think they
I
lose to
agree.
Utah off the rip.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna.
and that's gonna start. That's gonna start at week one.
Yeah,
He might not
Absolutely.
make
There's
it
no
past week
reprieve,
4.
yeah,
Right. He
yeah.
might
We're
not make it past week 4.
yeah because you're talking about you're going to Utah, then after a cupcake week 3, they got to play Tennessee.
right?
That might not make it to week 4. It might be
Yeah,
a wrap.
it may be ugly. It may be ugly for Sunbelt Billy. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and move on to this Netflix series. Did you all get a chance to watch the Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football
Johnny
doc?
football.
I haven't completed it, but yes,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, cool. Well,
Definitely got to check it out.
listeners, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. It's about Johnny Manziel. He was very polarizing. He was a very polarizing college football athlete. I loved him. I loved what he brought to the game. I admittedly just like shout out personalities. Like
This is true.
if
Yeah.
if you
I
both
share
of
this. I share
both of
this
these
completely.
guys can attest that
Yeah.
if you got pulled over and you got arrested in the off season, Adrian's probably gonna stand up for you. Like
Yes.
he ain't all that bad. He cool. He cool.
Mhm.
Bending
So
Stetsons. I heard you gonna slide Stetson there somewhere.
hey man, I got
It's downtown Dallas just for no
look
reason. 3 in the morning.
look
Huh?
me and Stetson both got arrested like the same age under the same circumstances. So and Dallas knows this because I worked for Dallas when I did
Yeah.
unfortunately get
This
arrested.
is
So
this is true. This is
yeah,
true.
so
And I was just wondering what took so fucking long.
yeah, this is true. This is true. Cobb County did look out a couple times for me,
That
so
amazingly so. Like
they did.
they look
One
out for no one.
yo,
But
Shout
right,
out to Cobb County.
straight up. Like one time, legit, and I think Dallas remembers this weekend when Georgia and LSU played, and that was when Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, they were all for LSU, and UGA and LSU had that shootout against each other. So at that time, the young lady I was dating, she worked for LSU. She still does. So she had her LSU stuff on. I had my Georgia stuff on. We both got pretty entertained all throughout the day, right? Tailgate and all that stuff. I'm driving late at night. I get pulled over. The cops pull me over. And literally the only reason why I didn't get arrested was because two of the cops remembered me from work. And they said, "We remember you. We remember what kind of guy you are. Leave your car here. You have to walk home."
Yes, sir.
And I was mad. And I
Of
was
course
mad
you
about that.
Of course you
I
would.
knew you wanted to argue. I know you didn't go
Yeah.
just peacefully into the night. You
That's
wanted
what
to
I'm
say a
saying.
couple
Like,
words.
hey, you should have been in jail 100 times, man.
So speaking of drunk, angry people, Johnny
Yes.
Manziel, good
Uh-huh.
old Johnny football, man. Dave, what were your initial thoughts about that doc?
Just the shock of it all. Like, it shows what the real power of the hype train can do. Because Johnny was not talent deficient. That's one thing that I did see, that Johnny had talent. Johnny could have played the game, but there's a difference between loving the game and just doing something that you are talented and good at. And I think Johnny falls in that second category based on the documentary. Because, man, if he would have had the dedication of a Tim Tebow, Johnny might have been a great all-time player, because he had the ability to galvanize a team and he was a true leader for that year and a half before he went to the NFL. But Johnny had that wild boy side too. I think the thing that made him great was his biggest downfall. Like,
True. That's true.
His greatness comes from his edge, and when you're an edgy player, then once you lose it, it's gone. So
that's a fact. That's a fact. Dallas, what are your thoughts, man?
I always like Johnny. He's an entertainer, man,
that
and
part.
football is entertainment. And Johnny
Mm-hmm.
was a master entertainer, on the field and on the microphone and all areas
Yep.
in between. So how could you not like Johnny football, man? And so the doc was, it just shows the human side of that entertainer a little bit. And,
That's a good point.
you could see, just like all of us, he had some demons, and, they got him, man. It just was too strong. And, he's a unique guy. He'll have stories to tell for the rest of his life. And,
Definitely.
so, and I look at that. Johnny was a guy who's living, man. He was living life. And you can
Yes.
agree
Facts.
with it
Yes.
or
Facts.
not, but he was living life, and he was just flowing with his nature. And, something to be said for respect for that, even if you don't agree with some of the choices, and we can easily
Big
say, well,
fact.
he blew his shot at the NFL. Well,
But did he?
he could have tore ACL too, you know what I
You're
mean?
right.
But he
This
lived
is true.
Right.
his way, his life, and so, salute to Johnny football.
Yeah,
Salute.
man. Yeah. So speaking of Johnny football, like let's talk. What was your favorite memory of Johnny football? I'm gonna start with you, Dallas.
So mine's got to be Cotton Bowl, I believe it was, Oklahoma, and he had just won the Heisman, right?
Okay.
And it seems like every time a guy wins a Heisman, he comes out in his bowl game and he's just not quite right.
Stink it. Yeah.
Right? It's one of those old legends of college football. As soon as a guy wins a Heisman, even if his team's playing for the Natty, man, like he's gonna throw a stinker. I think of Vinny Testaverde throwing 4 picks against Penn State in '87, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just always been this way. But Johnny comes out and he has like this all-timer of a game.
He went
He just
crazy.
single-handedly went berserk on Oklahoma. So he went ballistic. He had 200 something rushing yards, just making plays all over the place. Single-handedly wins the game. And I was like, to me, he had beaten the gods of college football. He beat Alabama. He beat a number one. He'd done all this, and then he beat the ghosts of college football because he comes out with this unbelievable game right after winning the Heisman, and that's not supposed to happen. Nobody does that. So it was just Johnny
Facts.
football once again, shattering all the expectations and the rigid rules of college football and saying, fuck you. I'm Johnny Football. I'm doing it my way. So that would
That's a
be
fact.
my favorite moment when Johnny did that.
Dave, what's your favorite memory of Johnny?
The one that I feel put him over the top was definitely knocking the luster off Alabama. Some of my joys in life is seeing Nick Saban perturbed, and he was PO'd. He was quite pissed off about falling to Johnny Manziel hysteria. So I think that's the one that pushed the Johnny football to a whole new height. Was beating the Crimson Tide. Couldn't pull it off 2 years in a row. But that first one, yeah.
I feel that.
That was my favorite Johnny football moment. That's when he
He
became.
made Nick change the way he did things, man.
I'm
This is
telling you,
true.
He really did.
he became college football legend off that game for me because Alabama was rolling, and Nick was looking at Johnny as another peon, like did not respect him at all, and you could tell he was pissed to have lost that game. I took great joy in that because I do not like the Crimson Tide. So
I feel that. In the doc, in fact, they said on that game, it was like a sideline reporter that said Johnny looked at him and said, "Fuck Alabama, fuck Nick Saban," then got the ball and scored a touchdown. Like that's the kind of energy he brought.
Yeah, I love it,
it.
man.
I love
Hell
it.
yeah, absolutely,
that was
absolutely.
Honestly, man, my favorite memory of Johnny doesn't even have to do with football. We got to remember during the time of Johnny playing and a little bit post us being in college, Dave, that's social media was on the rise.
Yep.
So seeing Johnny on Instagram doing some of the stupidest flexing, being in clubs, having stacks of money, being a college athlete, like on a money phone is one of the funniest.
Breaking all the rules.
Exactly. I just loved it. I love the arrogance of it. I was
breaking
like,
all your rules in your face.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I do remember during the draft, I kept calling you, Dave, and telling you like, "Hey, Cowboys."
I didn't believe he was getting drafted. I really did. That might have been it for me. I did not want Johnny in a Dallas uniform. I knew something was going to be up with it. I didn't want Johnny to be putting on the star. I was like, nah, man, that's going to be a waste of a first-round draft pick. Jerry wanted him. Jerry, you and
I
Jerry
thought
Jones
Jerry was going to do it. I really did.
Yep.
I thought he was going to do
Him
it.
and Jerry
I thought he was all in.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
when I seen Johnny dropping, my heart was dropping too. I'm like, God, please, let there.
That's funny.
When he was dropping, I was like, please, God, don't let this man come to Dallas. And I'm sure they'll put a documentary out on that, how Jerry wanted Johnny Manziel bad.
Oh, yeah.
Steven had to talk him off that ledge.
Yeah, facts. All right, this has grown to be something that we do every roundtable because it's one of the hottest topics for this whole college football season, and that's Coach Prime in Colorado. So I'm going to keep this segment quick by just simply asking, Dave, what is going to be Colorado's record at the end of the regular season?
So I know I'm on an island by myself with this, but just from what I've seen, man, and the last video or the last social media post that he posted that went viral about him jumping on the kids for not fighting, that struck a nerve with me because all teams I've been associated with, that was the mentality. That was the energy. And to see that coming from the head coach with cameras, don't care nothing about it, don't care if it's going to be politically correct, don't care if detractors are going to say something about it. He's building something in Colorado that he's already shown he can build at a lower level that I think is just going to resonate with his players. Like, that's the edge with a good coach that takes them to another level is when they can get lower level talent to believe. And I just see that in Deion. So because of that, I think they're going to actually come out with a winning season. I said 9-3 earlier. I'll modify it. I'll be more modest. I say 7-5. Bowl eligible his first year at Colorado. I see Deion getting it done.
Okay, 7 wins. Dallas, what you got, bro?
I have 2-9. And I just, quickly here, TCU? No. Nebraska? No.
Not Nebraska?
Colorado State? Yeah. Okay, there's one. Oregon? No. USC? No. Arizona State? Okay, there's
Yes.
another one. You can have that one.
Okay.
There's two. Stanford? No.
Stanford.
UCLA? No. Arizona? Nah.
Yes.
Washington State? Nah. Utah? Utah? Listen, man, Dion's not playing corner. He's not
He's
returning
not.
punts. That
Not a.
roster is awful. I
I
mean,
don't think so.
awful. It's not good. It's not. And it's just hodgepodge, like mercenary soldiers rolling in there. A- And, you know, I don't know, man. Why aren't they where they were? I don't know. It's just. And then they got this five-star kid playing corner, and I've seen film of him early in
Two.
camp. He
Two.
can't cover a blanket. It's nothing like it's a bad situation. And they've got the kid Travis Hunter, and he's an all-world. He's an amazing player. He doesn't play
Yeah.
quarterback. Um, Shador's all right, but he's not special. I don't see it, man. Is Dion building something? Is it going to turn around one day? Hey, that's debatable. But this year, 9 wins or 7 wins, there's no way. No way.
Okay. Okay.
I got him at 2.
I feel that. See, one thing, all the guests have had like all a full range of the records when it comes to Colorado, and I've pretty much stayed on what I've said at the beginning. In the spring, I was like, okay, I see a pathway to possibly 3 to 4 games. That's what I've been on. But looking more into the season, looking more as to what talent they've gotten from over the summer, that sort of thing, I still don't think that they're going to make a bowl, but I'm giving them 5 wins. That's what I'm on with them. So let's go ahead and talk about it, because this is how we're going to end this episode with some game day picks. We picked four games in particular. I want to get your picks, and I'll tell you pretty much I've gotten all the past contributors, gotten their predictions, and throughout the season, I'm going to check in with you guys whether or not you're on the episode, and we're going to look at the end of the year and say, hey, you were spot on, or man, you were dead ass wrong. So let's go ahead and get into it. First game that we want to talk about is going to be Florida going to Utah. So, Dave, who are you picking?
Drumming. Not even gonna be close. Florida is getting drugged out the game. It is going to be very, very bad.
Okay.
It's going to be set the tone for a dark cloud in Florida. I don't think Utah is going to benefit that much off of it, but definitely see that that's an L for Florida right out the gate.
Okay. Dallas, what about you, bro?
I got Utah to cover. I think no problem.
Or
I
I
like the cover.
I agree. I have Utah winning at home. They should have won last year, and that was with the number 3 overall draft pick. So what the hell are you gonna do with Graham Mertz, Florida? I'm sorry, it's gonna get ugly in Utah. All of our other contributors picked Utah except for Greg. Greg, he did pick Florida. Next game, Coach Prime in Colorado. They go down to play TCU. Dallas, what's your pick?
I think TCU doubles the spread.
Really? So
I
a
do.
40 point?
I think I think you could put a mortgage on this thing.
Okay. David, I'm assuming you're picking Colorado?
I am.
Okay, okay.
I am. I just, man, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I might be on the dead ass wrong train and at the end of it, but till
Dion's a good cult leader, so for you to say you're drinking the Kool-Aid, that's spot on, because
and
Dion's
that's
a
what I'm
cult
saying.
leader.
Like, but
So
He can run a reality show. I don't know about a football program, but a reality show he's got that nailed.
it's always a cult until somebody believes, and once you believe, it's hard to beat a cult.
that or the FBI storms and
40, how long did it take
care
him
of
to get
business.
How long did it take him to get inside though? 47 days is a long time to stand off with the FBI, my guy.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm going to agree with Dallas. I think TCU does win. However, I think it is going to be closer than the 20-point spread. Just
I'll take
because,
that.
Colorado has gotten a couple talented pieces, and TCU is pretty much, what film are they looking at? They're looking at Jackson State film. They're looking at Kent State film. It's a whole culmination, but also that's what GAs are for. So, for all I know, they could
What do you mean what
beat
film
them
they
by
looking at?
40.
They put everything on the internet. You see what they
Fair,
doing
fair,
every
fair,
minute of the
fair,
day.
fair,
Just
fair.
open your
Good point.
Instagram up and you got
Good
all
point.
the tape you need, man.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, ain't no secrets over there.
All right, so with our past contributors, the only contributor to pick TCU was Richard. Everyone else,
Oh wow.
4 others, actually picked Colorado for the upset. So good luck, fellas.
Go.
All right, next game. Tennessee, the Volunteers are going to play the Virginia Cavaliers. Take it away, Dallas. Who's going to win, Tennessee or Virginia?
I got Tennessee to cover, right?
Okay.
I do. And that's more Virginia's is trash.
Yeah,
This
it's
is not a
rough.
serious situation. I do think Tennessee is overhyped and is not going to match what they did last year. Um,
Oh wow.
so don't take this as an indication that I am a Tennessee believer by any stretch, but I do think they beat the shit out of Virginia.
Her David.
Definitely same thing. Josh Heupel gets it done. Uh, Virginia has nothing to talk about this year. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be easy work for Josh Heupel to build the program some confidence, get the season off to a hot start.
I agree. I'm with you guys. Tennessee wins, Tennessee covers, and Virginia starts to ask some questions with Coach Franklin. That's his name, Tony Franklin, right?
It'll
I
be
believe so.
irrelevant by the end of the year. It doesn't matter.
Fair,
He'd be an
fair,
analyst
fair
at
point.
Clemson.
Fair. Right. All right. Last game, gentlemen. This is a big one. Probably the game of the week for a lot of people. You got LSU and Florida State, 2 potential playoff teams, facing off in Orlando, Florida. Last year, Florida State pulled off the upset, and it was a lot of factors in pulling off that upset, but nonetheless, they did beat LSU. So, David, who do you have in the LSU versus Florida State?
So we haven't talked about this young man the entire episode. FSU's quarterback is dark horse Heisman material. I see FSU pulling another week 1 upset, if you want to call it that, at LSU. However, I will say this will be one of LSU's, if not their only loss, they only lose one more time this year. So I think FSU is that good. That offense is that good.
All right, I feel that. Dallas, what you got, bro?
I got LSU covering this thing, absolutely no problem.
Mm,
I do like Jordan Travis. I think he's a gamer. He's
I
just
do
a
like him
tough
too.
kid, man. Like the offensive lines he's had to play behind, and he just gets up and keeps coming in. You gotta respect him. So even though I am a Cane, I gotta give respect to Jordan Travis. But that's not enough. LSU is legit football program. Florida State had some lucky breaks last year. If they'd have played LSU at the end of the year, you and I both know that's a totally different game.
That's a
So
fact.
I'm all in on LSU on this game. I think Florida State loses maybe 3 or 4 games this year, by the way.
Mm, okay, okay. I I'm saving my pick for Friday's podcast, but the this is kind of split with the past contributors. So for Florida State, Richard, Florida State fan, he picked his guys, and Greg did as well. So the others, Zach, Eric, and Brad, they all picked LSU. So those are our picks. Like I said, each week we are going to bring up these predictions. I'm going to email you guys or text you and get your picks, and we're going to keep track of it. So that's what we're going to do. All right, fellas, we have reached the end of the podcast. So I want to, first and foremost, thank you again for hanging out with me. So, Dallas, once again, good luck to the Canes.
We need it.
Always look. I like what y'all are putting together.
I like Mario Cristobal. I will say that. I think Mario's a great
I
coach.
like Mario. I
think
do.
he's
I'm
a
not
great
down on
coach.
Mario at all. You know what I mean? So
I think he is legit. Man, a couple more years, we'll be talking about Miami again.
I feel that. And David, good luck to Ohio State as well. Hopefully, y'all have a quarterback this weekend. Actually, try it out, but who knows, right? Maybe.
Bro.
Hey, Dave, I don't know if I told you, but it was not pass interference, by the way.
Lies, Dallas.
Right. I agree.
Terry Porter.
That's
Terry Porter.
It was
I hope he's
targeting
somewhere laid up with
at the
gout,
very
by
least,
the
it was
way.
targeting. At the very least, it was targeting. That in the way the game is played now, the way the rules are
What are
set
you
up.
talking about? We're talking about Miami, Ohio State.
Oh, I thought you was talking about the hit on Marvin Harrison. You see it still stuck.
Nah,
in
man.
See, you got
we talking about that Fiesta Bowl in 2001,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Was not pass interference.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't pass interference.
No.
Hey, but that's the way to get the game rolls.
And speaking of which, that wasn't targeting. What the hell are you talking about?
He's somewhere else.
You see him already a sore spot there. You almost triggered it, so I'll leave it alone. But back to the Fiesta Bowl. that might be hands down one of the greatest college football games ever, and we had no business even being in the game with y'all. We had a one-trick pony with our running back, but hey, man.
It was the luckiest season I ever saw, man.
Yeah,
at the time, my college roommate was an Ohio State fan. And so we went home for winter break, and the game happened, and I had to move back in with this guy in this dorm with Ohio State fan. So I had watched every game all year with him, and y'all were winning, beating Purdue by 6, and kicking field goals in the last second to win. It was the luckiest season I've ever seen.
We had no business being in the game. You guys had us talent top to bottom. I see the CP jersey on too. Like, love it. Love Clinton Porter's.
No, it's Sean, baby.
Ooh,
no, this Sean.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. You can't be mad
Rest
at
in
Taylor.
peace to the legend.
Indeed.
Yes. But no, man. Like, I'll give you that one. You can have that one. Dallas. Like, the trade-off is for me is the Dez caught in Green Bay. Like, it comes around like full circle. So you can't win them all. That's the parody.
I feel that. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was mad. I was mad for you Cowboys fans that offseason. I mean, that postseason for sure. But we'll talk about that later. Listeners, once again, we appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. Of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. That's the home of 2 podcast projects that I passionately work on. Mondays and Fridays now, we talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all, where we don't just talk about Georgia Bulldogs, we talk about all things college football. Wednesdays, you know the vibes, it's the Life and Times podcast, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where we have cool conversations with some interesting people. Dallas, you're next up. I got to talk to you about that.
All right.
And we just have some interesting conversations that can go anywhere. So shout out to the people. Enjoy the first real weekend of college football, ladies and gentlemen.
Baby.
It's a terrific time of the year. So y'all take care of each other. We'll see you next week. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Buckeyes.
Crush your preparation. No, your ass is prepared for this shit for fucking 365 days. I think about the fuckers in that locker room. Think about getting our opportunity. All the shit you went through this week to get ready for this game. Now is when you pay the fucking price. You go out there with energy, enthusiasm. Hey, nobody wants you to be cautious. Ain't nobody wants you to be nervous about shit. Go out here and fuck their ass up. Don't think about scoreboard. Don't think about shit. You think about knocking the shit out of them. Did you hear what Box said on Monday? When I sat in that fucking meeting, I wanted to go fucking play right then. Tore your shit up out here. 2 years ago, fuck your shit up. Goddamn pride and joy tells me you fuck these guys up. You go play the right way. You play the right way. You knock their ass off. You stay off the fucking ground. You tackle the fucking man with the ball. The shit's easy. Look at the right shit. Punish their ass on offense and kick their ass on special teams, guys. It's about who the fuck we are. I believe in you. Let's go. Hell